Chapter 90b. Servants are supposed to fight for their master. Gadako cried out dramatically, and in response, I bit the grape open that my new mother figure affectionately fed me as she held me in her lap. I am busy saving the world, I said righteously, and Ritsuka Fujimaru, or more commonly called Gadako, stomped petulantly on the ground as she pointed at me. Jake, you are literally getting a lap pillow by Tiamama. How the hell are you saving the world? She demanded before shaking her head as she pointed at me. Now get off your butt, mister. I need your help farming event materials, as the boss is some form of Herakles and he is surrounded by Bicorns, so your dual nature as a Saber and Foreigner makes you perfect. She said as she attempted to pull me out of the iron grip of Tiamat, who shrilly cried out in her primal tongue in a warning for the red-headed tart to fuck off. Tiamama. Gadako cried out pitifully with tears coming to her eyes as she stomped on the ground. I want an extra grail to make Mashu stronger, and I need mats to level up my Urail and Sthenio skills as they keep bullying me. Gadako begged to try to get Tiamat to let go and if possible make me do her bullshit farming. Just take Artoria and Abby or something and do it. I groaned as I waved for her to go away, and Gadako pouted as she looked at the ground, but then she got a fierce look on her face as she blushed. Hee hee. If you won't do what I say, then I will use a command seal to make you my love slave who will farm all my mats. She said manically as her gacha addiction came back to the foreground, but I just smiled as she attempted to use a command seal on me. By the power of my command seal, I order you, Jake Barris, to like and be more affectionate to me. She yelled triumphantly, and Tiamat just looked at her with pity as I flashed with the red light of her command seal and just blinked away the bindings of the seal attempting to fuck with me. I shared a look of disbelief with Tiamat past her large breasts that hung over my head at Gadako's sheer balls at trying to use a command spell to make me give her a hug before I sighed and Tiamat's hands tightened around me as she knew I was going to move my head from my lap pillow. Tiamat. I said wryly as I attempted to move out of her grip, but she kept me still. She lightly cried out in her primordial tongue, clearly translated to, no, in fact I may not move. I had not had my ears cleaned out and I hadn't had any milk to wash down my sandwich and grapes. Sorry, Mom. I said, making Tiamat freeze at me calling her that suddenly, but then I used my unfettered wind skill to fall apart into the wind and pass through her arms, and I picked up Gadako and threw her over my shoulder as I booked it out of my room in Chaldea. Ah! Tiamat cried out in distress, but even as she attempted to chase us through Chaldea, I was able to divert her to the children's area, so she got waylaid by Jack and the other childish servants. So we were able to escape. That's enough, Gadako. I said, grabbing her by the shoulder to prevent her from pulling us into another singularity. As she pouted, I grinned and pulled her into a hug. Oh, does my little master still want some affection, or is Mashu not enough for you? I whispered into her ear, making her yelp and jump back blushing. You can't tease your master like that. She pouted, but I grinned as I slapped my hand above her head and pinned her against the wall. Oh, and what if this is how I show my affection and love for my lovers? By taking all they had and making sure they couldn't walk for a few days. I said dominantly, and Gadako, being weak to such displays, went an atomic red that matched the reddish-orange hair on her head. Jake, don't bully master. I heard Mashu cry out softly, and I looked at her while she was wearing that lewd servant outfit that was just a one-piece with some armor slapped on. Honestly, I couldn't help but see her as something all too adorable, and I didn't understand how our enemies could honestly bring themselves to attack the eggplant Kohai. Oh, alright, Mashu, I won't touch master ever, I said, sighing dramatically, and Gadako, still baking in her embarrassment, shouted out uncontrollably. No, I want to be touched. Mash and I shared a glance before we looked to Gadako, who clearly realized what she said and clearly wished she could melt into the floor, so I shrugged, and with a yelp, I picked Mashu and Gadako up, as I teleported through Chaldea to toss them onto my bed, and then I did what Tiamat did for me. As I gave the girls a lap pillow and soothed their very souls with my spiritual pressure, which especially brought Mashu joy. Hey Mashu. Gadako spoke softly as I ran my right hand through her hair while she had her head laying on my lap so she could also face Mashu's face a couple of inches away. Yes, senpai. Mashu replied dreamily as I soothed her soul, healing her fraying soul that was deteriorating due to her state as a homunculus and the weight of being a demi-servant. I am going to marry you and Jake. I need my adorable Kohai, and Jake has carried us through the singularities, plus he loves to stare at my backside, so he is obviously interested in me. The master of Chaldea said, refusing to look at me in the slightest as I chuckled at her words. Ah. I don't know if I am ready for marriage. Mashu said blushing, but I just patted her on her head and then with my other hand patted Gadako on her plush yet athletic backside from all the running she typically did in all the bullshit she got dragged into. Alright, girls, we don't even have a priest to get married with. I said, joking before I winced as both girls looked up at me as my mind caught up to me as I recalled the many saints here in Chaldea who would love to officiate a wedding. Jean could get scary when she wanted to drag people to do the right thing after all. Oh fuck, I can literally get hitched here in Chaldea. What are Raven and Galatea going to think? I screamed mentally as the girls shared a look before nodding, and before I could react my zipper got pulled down and Gadako's head dipped down low. In her words, it was far better to ask forgiveness and take charge than leave life to chance. And Gadako was the definition of headstrong.